Hi, this is Ionnie McNeill, the Master Wealth Builder, helping you to build a wealthier business and life in every area of your life. And as a volunteer, Ionnie McNeill and I are very excited to bring to you another program entitled hashtag My Investing Story. As Better Investing volunteers, we just want to let you know a little bit about who we are. The organization Better Investing was established in 1951 as a national 501c3 not-for-profit nonprofit organization who has helped over 5 million individuals. Let me say that again, 5 million individual people from all walks of life. And I mean literally all walks of life and literally all over the world. The organization has helped us learn how to improve our financial future. We provide unbiased investment education because, again, this is not about selling any stocks. We're not stockbrokers. We're not day traders. We're not selling any products or anything like that. We are volunteers providing investment education and powerful online tools for stock analysis. And this, we know, is creating successful lifelong investors. But tonight, as every Wednesday night, we're excited to bring to you another episode of individuals who are willing, yes, willing to share their investing story. And our guest tonight is the Washington Metropolitan Investment Club, and they're using the acronym WMIC. This organization was founded in March of 1992, and they started their investment club with only 10 members, and they've grown that now to 29 to 30 members. They're going to share with us tonight their investing story, a phenomenal story it is. The organization, the investment club, is currently holding $1 million plus in their investment portfolio. And their portfolio currently has 29 stocks and 2 mutual funds. And we're going to go ahead and talk about how it all started. But again, my name is Ionnie McNeill, and I want to just thank my co-host, Miss Ionnie McNeill, is joining us. And she is going to share with you her awesome way of interviewing our guests. Good evening, good evening, good evening,
Good
all
evening.
of you.
Yes, we're excited to have the Washington Metropolitan Investment Club out of the DC area, right, gentlemen?
You got it.
Correct.
Okay. So, for the sake of the people, we're going to do a quick introduction, starting with Ronald Keel, who I've been speaking with over the past 2 months. So, Ronald, let's kick us off.
Thank you. I'm Ronald Keel, and I'm the current president of Washington Metro Investment Club, or WMIC. And I have with me a few of the members here. You can see Ken Wright, who is the actual founder of the WMIC, and Ernest Hines, who's the current treasurer of WMIC. We have a few more of our members on who are watching us and keeping us straight. But I'll turn it over to Ken and Ernest and let them talk a little bit, and then we can proceed.
Okay, well, let's start with Ken since he started it. Could you just take us to what motivated you to start an investment club, Mr. Wright?
Well, I started the investment club. I was on a business trip in Atlanta, Georgia, and I got the Atlanta Constitution, and it says Black in Atlanta invested in Better Investment. Well, at the time, it was National Association Investment Corporation, now known as Better Investing. And so I said, oh, I can do that back in the DC area. So I got together with 3 other individuals, Ron Keel being one of them. And we met in 1991, start formulating bylaws, SOPs, and scheduling a first meeting with the people in this area. And so we went from there, and we scheduled a meeting in my basement of my house. And we had about 15 individuals that showed up that day, and then 10 of them signed up. And that's how we got started with the Washington Metro Investment Club.
And what year was this?
It was March of 1992 when we had our first meeting as the Washington Metro Investment Club. But we started back in 1991, formulating, getting everything together, getting the bylaws, the SOP, determining, what we're going to do.
So you coming up on 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
That's correct.
Oh, yeah.
I've been my age now.
We've been at this for a long time. And
wow. So let's take you back to that trip in Atlanta. I know you picked up the Atlanta Constitution. Was it just because you saw it in there, or what else was probably going on in your life or in the world that made you take action? Because I think a lot of times we come across information, but there's something specific sometimes that moves us or calls us to action to be like, you know what, it's time. Let's do this.
Well, the real story, I grew up in South Bronx, New York, and on the playgrounds, I always had the stock market on the playground as we recess. And so I'm reading the stock market, and the other kids were teasing me like, why are you reading the stock market? You're never going to invest in the stock market. You're never going to be able to get stocks and whatnot. And so, I remember that day as I was reading the Atlanta Constitution. And so it just gave me an opportunity to try to bring this. And my vision at the time was more community. I wanted to bring something to our community so we can have something, invest together, and educate the community so we can do better.
Wow. Well, I think you speak for a lot of people that start, especially Blacks that start investment clubs. A lot of times it's not always about the money. It's about the community. It's about the education. It's about the camaraderie. And it's even about legacy. And then it is also about the money, but usually that's not always the first thing. So, Ernest, what made you join the club and when did you join?
I joined in, it was 2000. One of my co-workers at the time, and she's still a member of the club, was Jacqueline Kelly. So she was telling us about the club. Another member also, Jimmy Wyrick, he and I joined together. So we both worked at the Pentagon, same organization, and she was telling us about the club and the great things that they were doing. Now, I was already investing myself. I started in 1987, but I was only investing in mutual funds. So the opportunity to learn more about how to invest in stock, I found that to be appealing. So I joined the club.
Oh, that's a good point that you raised. Both to Ron and to Ken, were you individual investors before you even started the club, or was the club maybe the first time you kind of started on that path?
Well, for me, and I was already an individual investor. As a matter of fact, I bought my first stock back in the early 80s, about 82. The first stock I purchased was Ford Motor Company. I think it was trading for about $2 a share because everybody thought Ford was going to go out of business. But surprisingly, Lee Iacocca comes along, turns the company around, and the stock just shot through the roof. And I said, oh, this is something I can stay with. And I have been an investor, an individual investor ever since then. And then when we got to the club, that just brought us all together to where we bump ideas off of one another and look at certain stocks and things of that nature. But yes, for me, I had started back in 1982 investing.
Okay, cool.
Same thing with me. I was an investor, individual investor. I was already a member of Better Investing. And one of the things I was doing, we had the TSP for my civilian job. So I was investing there. The 529 for my college education for the kids, I was investing there. So I was already doing it. Then I had my own little mutual funds and other investment that I was messing around with.
Now, Ron, were you also a member of BI when you were individual investor, or did you get introduced once you joined?
Once I joined the club, then I mean, Ken had told me about it prior to that, and I started looking into it. But no, I wasn't a member at that time. I was just doing investing on my own. And some of the things I had learned from my college professor, as a matter of fact, I was studying for my MBA at George Washington University. And I talked to my professor after class one night. I said, hey, I'd like to buy some stocks, but I don't want to keep going through a broker. He said, oh, there's an easier way. And he introduced me to buying stocks directly from the company. And that's how I really started getting into it then. Exactly. And then when Ken and I got together, that's where we're like, hey, that's the first way we're going to do this. We started buying stocks directly without even involving a broker at first, or dealing with the broker. So I learned that little tidbit from my college professor back at George Washington University.
Wow, that's great news, because that's actually also how I got started. At the time, NAIC had a direct stock purchase plan, or really it was called low cost investment plan, where they had a consortium, I should say, of relationships with investor relations department of major brands. And so as a kid, my first shares of stock came from sending my check and my form to NAIC, who then mailed it.
Right, that's right.
Company. Yeah. So I mean, because the other thing too, at that time, you needed to have, well, like how I like to say is, you needed to have $10,000 to have a conversation with the broker.
Right, that's right. And they wanted you to buy in round lots back then. They buy 100 or 200, something like that. And I was like, I don't have $10,000 right yet. I'm in graduate school.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, and the commissions are just now coming down. I mean, it used to be in the 90s and the 80s. Well, I'm glad to hear this, because one other question I have is, did you, based on what Mr. Ernest said, did you originally start off as an all-male group? Are you all male now? What's kind of the makeup of the group?
No, we have a mixture of both male and female. Jackie Kelly, she's probably on. She's the assistant treasurer. She helps Ernest out with the club, and she's been a longtime member herself. So yes, we have quite a few females who've come and gone. Ken Wright, his daughter, is a member. She just joined this year. So we're starting to pass this down to our children and getting them involved with the club and things of that nature.
Excellent.
So yes, we have quite a good mix.
Okay, Ron, say that last part, because you phased out a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, so we got a good mix of male and female with, folks within the club.
Okay. Ken, I have a question, because, originally I thought you were all male just because of the photo. The picture,
yeah. Sorry. Don't tell them I sent that photo. No, I'm just
It's all good.
Because Jackie was out of the country.
She was.
Well, we all know Jackie must be the silent threat. She's probably like the silent killer in the group. But
he's our conscience. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I can believe it. I can believe it. There are studies that come out every once in a while, and especially BI does this, where they track, how well all male groups investment clubs do, how well all female investment clubs do, and how well mixed clubs do. And I think, and Howard Johnson, who is the BI South Regional Manager, he could probably attest or chime in. But I think out of the three makeups, the mixed groups always outperform all male or all female. So I'm actually probably not concerned about your portfolio at all. Oh, somebody. Yeah, Jack. What's Jackie's last name?
It's Kelly. Jackie Kelly.
Okay, so we may have Jackie. I know
sure.
You're not on right now, video wise, but we'll probably reach out to you to do a one-on-one interview.
Sure.
But what I want to get to though is back in 91, 92. Could you speak to the mindset that you realized people had that were either in the club or didn't make the club? I have a few things coming in my head, Ken, which is, I'm sure the club is majority Black, if not all Black. And you know, people have different backgrounds and experience with money. And then, you know, there's a myth that male egos run high. So I'm really interested just to kind of see, you all were successful individual investors. So, you know, what was it? Was it the camaraderie? Was it, you know, the spirit of community? What do you think was the mindset that helped you to gel in the beginning versus those that probably just weren't ready?
Well, I can say this, the three gentlemen that I asked to help me get this started, they were all affiliated with the military. Either they were a government employee working for the military or so the structure was there. And so we put that structure in the bylaws that and the SOP that we would all be on one accord. And that helped us become very successful early on. And the makeup of the people, you had people who were short-term investors. You had people that were long-term investors. And early on, we kept saying, you got to be patient. You got to be patient. You know, it's going to eventually come through for us. And the philosophy was, we're going to look at dividend type stocks, large type stocks, because they were well financial. And so they would, for the long term, they'll be there for us. And so that was our approach early on.
Okay. Well, we have Jacqueline. I think she was like, let me come on now so I don't have a solo interview.
Hello.
Jackie, hey, Jackie.
I was trying to get the background in. I guess I did I don't know what I did wrong.
Well, Mrs. Ann McNeill schooled Ernest on how to do it, so you might have to ask her.
You had to be in the prep.
Let me just take that off because that looks terrible.
Well, while you taking that off, talk to us, Miss Kelly, a little bit about what made you join from the outset.
Well, I had been investing on my own, and I had met, I'm trying to think, he's no longer in the club, but anyway, I met him when I was working in the Pentagon, and he told me about the club and what they did. And I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. I should probably join. And so I went on the interview and joined the club. And lo and behold, I actually ended up joining on the same day as a friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine, who is also still in the club. And he is actually the one who had gotten me into buying stock many years prior.
Okay. And were you a member of BI before you joined WMIC?
No, I was not. Just when I joined the club.
Okay. So let's talk about how impactful being members of Better Investing and even having a Better Investing investment club has been to your success, because I'm sure in your professional lives, even before you started the club, you had friends or coworkers who were also investing. But in my 20 years of being a BI member, I recently came to realize that BI investors are very different from other investors. Number one, we tend to keep our money.
That's true.
And number two, we tend to be able to grow what little we do have. So I think that alone speaks volumes to the education and the access. So how has Better Investing made each of you better individual investors and also a better investment club?
Well, I can tell you this. We don't do anything. If we're looking at a new stock, we don't do anything until an SSG is done. That's one of the tools that we use adamantly, to make sure that we're looking at the stock from perspective of growth and what it's doing for the future and things of that nature. So that's one of the tools that we've taken from BI, and we've used that extensively. There's others in that, and Jackie and Ernest and Ken can attest to that. But that's the way we move forward before we, purchase a stock. Now, the other thing is we do come in and we discuss a lot of stock. We watch what's going on. Everybody's on certain committees. Everybody has a stock that they're responsible for. So we're now giving folks sectors to track. So we're keeping up with the stock market and what's going on around us and things of that nature. So and then when we come together on a monthly basis, everybody comes in with some ideas of some stocks that they want to purchase or things we should do with the stocks and things of that matter. So we get it from everyone that's in the club. We make sure that every member puts forth their best effort in order to make the club as a whole look so much better. We couldn't all do this by ourselves. We know that it takes us as a group to do this. So we would have never got to $1 million, you know. I mean, we probably would have individually, but as a group, we've grown so quickly, so fast, and we've accumulated so much, you know, it's actually paid off in the long run. And that's the other thing. It's a long-term deal that we're looking at. It's no short-term, you know, deal here. We're looking at this thing from the long term. So I think that helps in the perspective also.
So WMIC is $1 million investment club right now.
Yes, we are. Over $1 million to say the least. We're about 1.3 million right now. So,
I don't, that's not only music to my ears, but I think it's music to a lot of people's ears because number one, it's 30 years in the game as a club. And if you add the years you started in the 80s before that, you know, we're talking 35, 40 years of a journey. And it's not to be underestimated, but it is also a clear example of what's possible. So I'm glad and I congratulate you all for reaching that mark.
Thank you.
And as of right now, how many people are in the club? How many partners?
We have 30 members right now. And we're capped at 35 members right now. When we wrote our bylaws and SOPs, we said, you know, at that time, that was, you know, years ago, we said, well, we'll cap it at 35. So now we're at 30 and we're looking for the additional 5. And we may have to go back in and change our bylaws and expand to 40. We don't know yet. But
wow. Well, 30 is a lot. I mean, I just started a model club and we started at 30. And we're down to 25 right now. And, you know, that's a lot of people, but it's beautiful.
We're looking to add another 5 here by February of 2021, hopefully. So we'll see what happens.
And before I go into the other members on that same question, what's your outreach like? Is it like a friend to friend, you know, reach one, bring one in? You know, are you posting on the DC chapter, Better Investing's DC chapter, like visit a club, or how are you looking to get those extra 5 members?
Well, we had free advertising for a long time through our local newspaper. We would put a posting in there and folks would read it and come in and things like that. And of course, word of mouth is another thing, you know, folks at work or at church. Most of us go to the same church anyway. So we got a lot of us go to the same church. And so it's word of mouth that way. And a lot of us are in a fraternity and sororities and things like that. So we talk about it that way. So it's by word of mouth mostly.
Mostly. Okay. Got it.
Let me add to that. On an annual basis, we have the Manassas African American Festival, where a lot of folks in the county comes out to participate. They sell food and they sell clothing. And each of the Greek fraternities have a chair out there. And so that gives us an opportunity to talk to the community about what we're doing in the Washington Metro Investment Club. And then
what festival, Ken?
It's called the Manassas African American Festival.
Out in Manassas, Virginia?
That's correct.
Hey, Ken.
Is
it the Prince William?
No, it's Manassas, I believe.
Manassas? Okay.
And like Ken said, and that gives us the opportunity to, because a lot of folks come to that. Unfortunately, this past year, because of COVID-19, we couldn't have it. So hopefully for 2021, things will change and we can have it. It's usually in about August of the year. And so hopefully next August, we could have it and get back to reaching out to the community like we always do.
Well, that's phenomenal. And you can't get more grassroots than that.
Right. And another thing that helped us is the National Association Investment Corporation some years ago. During that year, we were the #2 investment club in the nation. And newspaper articles. I was on BET TV. We were on NBC Business News. So that gave us a lot of advertisement and people knew about us.
Wow. Wow. Excellent. So yeah, I'll open it back up to you, Ken, Ernest, and Jacqueline. How has better investing made you better investors?
I'm just gonna leave it to Ernest because Ernest is using the iClub and he's using the accounting software. So
Yeah.
talk to that.
Yeah, we make extensive use of club accounting online. It is our primary tool to organize, maintain, and record and analyze the club financial data. It's got a lot of perks to it. One of the ones I really like is the tax printer, which enables us to quickly develop our tax return. And recently they've added the ability to submit our taxes electronically, which is just fantastic.
So Ernest, are you the treasurer?
I am the treasurer. Yes.
Yeah.
Talking like a treasurer.
Yeah.
And Jackie is the assistant treasurer. She helps her, and she was the treasurer at one time herself.
Yeah.
So she, they are, and don't let Jackie fool you. She has an accounting background. She knows this stuff very well. She's just being very modest here, and her and Ernest get along very well. They do an excellent job for the club of keeping our record straight. And I can tell you, if things get out of order, they're the first ones to let me know as the president that I'm goofing some stuff up. So they'll tell me. So well, I don't have a problem with.
That sounds like a nice team, man. That's important. And when you spoke of Jackie, one thing that, and I don't know if you have kids, Miss Kelly, but I am interested to know, with your involvement in the Washington Metropolitan Investment Club and also being a member of BI, how has that changed or informed the way you treat money and teach your kids about money? Because I think that having an investing mindset or an investor mindset really does influence your ways. I mean, even more than just being an accountant, because I graduated with an accounting degree too. But being an investor, you just kind of have a different perspective in relationship to money. So how has that informed the way that you've taught your kids the value of money growing up, which may have been much different than how you grew up and the money lessons you did or didn't learn growing up?
Well, actually, I do not have any children. And I grew up learning about managing money from my father, who did an excellent job. And so I really can't say that becoming an investor changed anything in terms of how I manage money and the things that I do in managing money. But it definitely, joining BI and the club has definitely helped me with investing more and getting out there more, a little more due diligence on stock picking. It took some of that fear away from investing. So,
and I know some of the more advanced classes that we offer at BI include, how to go into the 10K and how to do preferred procedure. What's kind of like your extra step method in addition to just doing the basic SSG when you're studying a stock or researching a stock?
Are you talking to me?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I look at a lot of historical data. I don't know that I do anything above and beyond other than maybe that historical data, looking at those financial reports. That's really, the key. And I guess because of having an accounting background, that's, that's just where I go first.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and like you're saying, the SSG is really just a graphical representation of, that 5-10 years of the balance sheet, the income statement. So it really is all right there. But just wanted to open the question up to the club, because I know there are some clubs that, may do like classes that Kim Butcher teaches. She has ratios that she looks at that's not on the SSG, but is on her checklist. So just also wanted to open the question up to the club if there's any additional things. I know you originally talked about you focused in on dividend stocks, but has your investment strategy changed over time?
Well, I'll go back to the kid question, that because I have kids, and the one good thing, I brought my daughter into the Washington Metro Investment Club, so she's a member now. But prior to becoming a member, we sat down and we talked back in January and February when the coronavirus was getting hard and the stock market was dropping. So she and I was talking. I said, this is a good time for you to buy, because now you're getting discounted shares only because the stock market has nothing to do with the company. It's only because the coronavirus is impacting the world. And so she went out and took about 5,000 out of her bank account and put into the stock market. And probably about 3 or 4 months later, she was up $3,000 on that 5,000. So, and then she said, I want to join the Washington Metro Investment.
Wow.
I think the other thing is too, like Ken was saying, yes, we strive to teach our kids because I use a lot of my money in the club to pay for college for I have 3 daughters, so and a granddaughter, so I'm surrounded by women.
Lucky.
So, but the one thing I told them was that I have this rule called the 1/3 rule. That is, dad pays 1/3, the Washington Metro Investment Club pays 1/3, and then they have to go get the other 1/3 either through, working or getting scholarships and things like that. Because the one thing, and Ken and I talked about this, the one thing we didn't want is for our kids to have all these student loans. And, through the grace of God, I got my first 2 through college. They have 0 student loans. And I got a 3rd one in college. She's a junior right now. And I'm trying to get her through with no college loans. So that was my goal for being in the club and teaching them how to they all have stocks. They all purchase their own stocks. They have their own portfolio. And the one thing I wanted to strive for was to make sure that they could go get a good education, come out of college get a decent job, and not be straddled with all this college loan debt that would prevent them from buying a house or do more investing and things of that nature. So that was my whole reasoning for using the club and getting into the club. And then, like I said, turn around teaching my children how to invest also.
Okay, so for Ron and for Ken, how old are your daughters? Someone is asking.
My oldest daughter is 31. My second daughter is 29. And my youngest daughter is 21. And my granddaughter is 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
My oldest daughter is 26. And my youngest daughter is 19. And I also have a son that's 35.
Okay. So which daughter came into the club, Ken?
The 26-year-old.
26.
The 19-year-old is still in college.
Okay, cool. Another quick question we have is, what are the qualifications to join your club? And must the person attend a certain amount of meetings?
I'll let Ken talk to that.
You want me to? Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, we have a criteria for membership. The first criteria, we have an open house. You must attend that open house. And then once you see that open house, you can participate or you can request an application for membership. And you come in, we give you an interview. If you're successful in that interview, then the next month, we'll send you a letter saying that you accepted into the Washington Metro Investment Club.
And is it because we know about the state laws, do you generally get people in the Maryland area, DC, Virginia area only, or?
As far as interest, we've been getting folks from DC, Maryland, and Virginia
Yeah.
interest, but most of the people who accept membership, most of them recently been coming from Virginia, actually Prince William County.
Prince whose county?
Prince
Prince
William.
Williams County.
Prince Williams County. Okay. Somebody is asking, and this is an interesting question. Can you join the club virtually?
Yes.
Well, no.
No.
No, because in our bylaws, we got this radius that if you more than, I think it's
75 miles.
you can't be a member. Now, once you're in the club and you leave,
Move. You're right.
you still can be
Yeah.
a member virtually.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's smart. That's real smart. One thing that I wanted to go back to what you were saying, Ron, about your daughters and you paying a third, the club paying a third, and they paying their own third.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned that they have their own portfolios. So did they learn from osmosis? Did they learn from looking at the children? Did they learn from you breathing down their neck?
They learned from me breathing down their neck. And also what I did, I opened up, I bought a lot of stock with my name and their name on it. And once they became
so
of
custodial
age,
accounts. Okay.
yeah, I transferred it over to them. So they have Pepsi, Coca-Cola, 3M Corporation. They all have a lot of stocks, Home Depot, Walmart, and things like that. But I purchased it with their names on it and put monies into it. And once they graduated from college, I said, okay, I took my name off, turned it over to them, and they continued to invest. They've invested to this day. So
now in that process, one of the things that we had a past guest, which I thought was phenomenal. She, of course, was born kind of into money, and her parents had stock for her. Her grandparents had stock for her. And one of the interesting things that she mentioned was that her mom reviewed her stock statements as she was growing up. I know even from my own personal experience, my dad does a lot of things for me, but having that experience of reviewing stock statements as you grow up to get an understanding, as opposed to, well, I got it for you, and at 18 you realize this is what I've been doing for you in secret all this time. So
no. I went through the statements with them. I showed them what their dividends were doing, how they were being reinvested to buy even more shares of stock, which they haven't changed that at all. They still reinvest all their dividends and things of that nature. But yes, I walked them through the statements and let them see exactly what was going on with the monies that was being invested and how it was growing, through the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that active sharing is phenomenal because, not everybody gets that growing up. And I know Jacqueline's experience is different, but real quick, how was your childhood experiences with money growing up? I know Ken said, he was on the playground reading the stock section of the newspaper, but, was money talked about at home? Was it not talked about? What kind of things did you pick up to realize, hey, this is important? And then when did you come across investing per se?
My parents were actually afraid of the stock market. They had come up through the Depression and things like that. So there wasn't a lot of faith from them in the stock market. But I had a neighbor next door to me who was actually a professional golfer, that he would talk to me about money because he would take his winnings from golf tournaments and invest it. He would never spend it. He would just invest it in various stocks. And one of the first one he showed me was Coca-Cola, and how he was putting his money away in that and things of that nature. And that's how I really got it. My parents, their fear, like I said, of the stock market, because of them growing up during the Depression, right after the stock market had crashed and things like that, they had no faith in investing. Plus, they were, their jobs provided a pension for them and things of that nature. So it wasn't until later in life that they actually started putting money into a 401k plan. And by that time I was already doing my investing, and I started helping them with their 401k plans, at that time. And like I said, it was later in life when 401k plans came along and they started investing in that. So that was my take, my dealing with money at a young age.
Okay, thanks. And
My
Ken?
situation was a little different than Ron. My parents were blue collar workers. They didn't really invest. Where they invest in me, because what they did, they took me out of the public school and put me in private school, and they hoped that one day that life would be a lot better in my generation and my kids' generation. So that's how they invest.
Yeah, and I think you speak to a lot of families, especially Black families. They invested in their children, and education was the thing that they were willing and still are willing to invest money in, especially if they have no real awareness or comfortability of the stock market itself. So yeah, I'm glad you two shared that. Ernest, what's your story?
My story is my dad was in the military. My mom was a short order cook. So my dad was very disciplined about how to run the household in terms from the business aspect. So he didn't know anything about investing, but he knew a thing about saving. Matter of fact, when I graduated from college, I was commissioned as an Army officer. And he told me, I want you to live at a check below your pay grade. So he said, when you get promoted to first lieutenant, I want you to still live on the second lieutenant's pay. I want you to take that money and then save it. So I that's the way I started off until I got to some of my peers who said, well, you're wasting time saving money into a saving account. Even at that time, money market account, which was paying like 6%. He said, if you can invest your money in the stock market, which at that time was paying about 13%, you get a lot more. So that was my exposure into the stock market.
Yeah, that's actually also an important lesson and a very prevalent lesson. Yeah, just living below your means.
Yeah, that's the key right there.
Especially, I mean, I have my grandmother was born in 27, so especially parents coming from that Great Depression era,
right?
They were very conservative with their money, big savers, and yeah, just living below your means, making sure you had more stuff in the bank that you could touch it.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never in all my life bought a brand new car. Every car I bought was a used car. I know that sounds sad, but
No.
I just couldn't buy no brand new car. It just didn't mean anything to me. I would rather buy a used car any day and pay cash and be done with it, and not make car payments. That was the way I was, trying to do this too.
No, that's in fact one of the books my mom had me read was called The Millionaire Next Door in grade school.
Excellent book.
They were doing everything you're saying right now. They never bought new cars.
Never.
You look at them, they never look like they bought new clothes either. But they as quiet as it's kept, similar to WMIC, was sitting on $1 million portfolio. And yeah, I just think that type of access to wealth and ability to provide for your family with your own money, not borrowed money, not credit, not Peter, running from Paul.
Yeah.
I know. And to piggyback on what Ernest was saying, when I first got married, the first thing we did was we took my wife's check and banked her check, and then we just lived off my check. We didn't even spend her money. We just saved her money. That's another thing. Couples, I know it's difficult to do in this day and time because prices are through the roof. But if you can manage to live off, like Ernest said, live below that one check below your, what your pay grade is. I think you learn to manage is what I'm saying.
No,
Learn
yeah,
to live
you
off
do.
that. And then before you know it, you're not even missing that money. That money is being put away somewhere else and being invested. And before you know it.
Yeah,
you're-
and little do you know, freedom is that much closer.
Yeah, yeah,
For real.
that's right.
Ken, you may want to check your chat. I think you got a old friend that sent you something. So
In chat?
yeah.
You owe this person some money, Ken? No, I'm just
Yeah. 30
but
years,
no,
40
you know,
years
like
ago.
yeah, like like we were saying, and Ernest brought out an excellent point about living below your means, and you brought it up yourself. Living below your means and investing that money. And Ernest, like he said, was saving it until
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
told him to invest it. And here's the one thing that people don't understand: the stock market, on average, returns anywhere from 11 to 15%. People don't realize that the stock market gives you easily that kind of return. You can't get that from a bank, like Ernest said. You can't get that from savings. You can only get that kind of return through the stock market. And so as African Americans, we can't be afraid of the stock market. We have to invest, and you can take small steps. You can invest now $50 a pay period, $100 a month, but you can start small. And before you know it, over time, it builds up. And this thing, you can't get rich quick. I got a person at work, they spend $500 a month on the lottery. That's $500 a month they can be investing, waiting to get this big payoff when your odds of winning the lottery is like 1 out of 8 million, so you're better off investing that money in the stock market, So, but
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you hitting it right on the head, Ron, right on the head.
Want me to tell you about the person in chat?
Yeah, what Howard Johnson said. I don't know if you're supposed to say it out loud though.
No, I last year, Alpha Phi Alpha East had a gathering, a convention in Columbia University, and I was one of the guest speakers for starting an investment club, and that's probably where he remembered me from.
Yeah. Y'all are some smart brothers, because some of the we had Howard's Family Investment Club on last month. They were the first investment club that we featured here on My Investing Story. So I'm glad that shout out and connection was made. Ms. Ann, your question?
Yes, I have a question. I'd like to know what's the average age of the members, what's the oldest, and what's the youngest age?
And the monthly contribution amount. I wanted to ask that too.
I don't know why is Ronald
we don't discuss ages, so I don't even know if anybody can answer that.
I can tell you, like,
average,
what about a median, not yeah.
I don't even.
I think Terrence is the oldest, right?
Yeah, he's got to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, most of us are in our late 50s, early 60s. Put it like that. We do have some younger members,
Well, Ken's daughter is obviously the youngest.
Yeah, she's got to be. Yeah,
right.
She's the youngest.
And so, what's the age? I don't have to say who it is. So the oldest is maybe about 70.
Yes, I would put Terrence at above 70.
Yeah, he's about 70. Yeah.
So he's about my age.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know about that.
No, she said she was 70. You said you were 70, right?
She's trying to soften the blow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Terrence is probably the oldest member. Like they were saying, Ken's daughter is probably the youngest. We have
and of course I asked the question because we know the average age of a BI member, Ionnie, is what, about 60 maybe?
Okay. I'm right there then.
I think so, but actually when I came across something, I think it was maybe like 57. And I think that just may be because there's so much of a skew for some of the much younger. But when I go to conferences, it's like 80. All retirees. Well, the 80s being there. I mean, we're going to have a guest on that's 96 in January.
Oh, wow. Oh,
I
that's
tried to put her on this month, but yeah, I mean, she called me,
Yeah, that's
and
good.
I'm like, she read about me in the BI magazine, so I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, we definitely got to have you on the
Yeah.
show.
Oh, that's really good.
And she's
That's
still
really good.
invested. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just phenomenal, you know.
And that's the other thing. I'm glad you said that, because I think people, as they tend to get older, think they're supposed to get out the stock market, but the stock market is a perfect hedge for, against inflation. So I'm not saying you keep all your money in the stock market as you age. You got to keep, I'd say about 20% of what you have should be in the stock. Now, the other 80% could be in, savings or some sort of low interest type vehicles, because your investment span is, of course, a lot shorter, but you still have to keep some portion of your portfolio in the stock market. So I want people to know that you just don't get out of it completely because you're retired.
Yeah, and I think the comfortability, I'm gonna let you talk, Ken. I think the comfortability of your education allows for you to make those type of decisions. Most BI members that are that old are in the market, and not just in the market, they're in equities because they know what they're looking for.
Right.
They're managing their money. And so it's a different attitude, it's a different mindset, and it's one that I'm really inspired by because I just did a workshop on Saturday, and a lady that was 65 asked me, is it too late to invest? And of course, I'm thinking about Howard Johnson, and he's like 69. He's like, I'm 100% in equities, so it's the mindset, same age, different mindset, different experience, different exposure, different education is going to inform what decisions you make. So, Ken. Oh, go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
Before you get to Ken, I was going to say one thing you all should know: our portfolio generates about $25,000 in dividends per year. So, and all that's reinvested. So it works. You just have to be in it for the long term. And I'll let Ken go.
I was just going to answer your original question. You asked how much money we put in each month, and for a new member, the initial payment is $200, and then the next month is $50 per month. We also have an annual dues, and the annual dues is $75.
And everything is basically invested, even though you've sectioned it off.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. We in the model club, we had a initial of 50, and then either 25 or 50 each month. So and all of it's invested. So
Ionnie, I want to just make sure that just mentioned we had a number of people that joined us a little late and are wondering what are we talking about. And so I just want to let everybody know that BI is actually better investing.
Oh, yeah.
And our mission as a not-for-profit organization is to educate individual investors and investment clubs to become successful lifelong investors. So I just want to just share that they can go to betterinvesting.org to get additional information about the organization. So just wanted to just do that commercial so we can make sure everybody who's listening, because the show is evergreen, and we will be sharing it, and also the podcast. Thank you.
So now we in our and I don't know if y'all knew this was gonna go by so quickly, but we're in our final words. It's been a pleasure, and
it did go by. It did go by quick,
right. And then Jacqueline, I'm gonna have to get on the conversation because
I wanted to answer one of the questions that I don't think we answered.
Okay.
Someone asked about mandatory meetings. So we have a mandate that you must attend a minimum of 7 meetings a year, and we meet every month. And of course, we have a fee for those who don't make that 7.
Okay. And are all members required to join Better Investing?
Yes.
We sign you up anyway. Yeah.
That's an automatic. We sign everybody up.
We sign everybody up as soon as you become a member.
Non-negotiable.
It's automatic.
Non-negotiable. Got it.
And everybody's required to do a stock report every month.
Yep.
Whoa, that's a lot of. But everybody doesn't present.
No, everyone does not present. Yeah. but you have to submit to the investment committee, and they go through. Everybody actually gets all the reports, but the investment committee has to go through all the reports.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, you gave me an idea. I was letting a whole lot of people slide month to month. My mom made a comment to me yesterday and called me something I won't call, but it's similar to a tyrant. But
no, it's mandatory that you.
But I may have to crack the whip on this model club. I was only like, oh, one person each month, you know, babying people, letting them get warmed up. I might have to throw some assignments out there. Thank you for that, Miss Kelly. But I do want to, again, that was the joke I was going to make, which is, you know, I'm responsible for finding the guests and bringing them on, scheduling all of that. And I just want to say, Ron, thank you so much for making this so easy, because as you know, group decisions take a long time. Mm-hmm. And out of all of the investment clubs that I've been communicating with thus far, it's like watching molasses. Like
No.
I gotta take it to the club. I can't get a response back. I can't get a date set. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna just stick to the individual investor because this.
No. Once we saw the email, once we got the email, I think it had gone to Ernest, and Ernest had sent it to me. I'm like, oh yeah, we're on it. I'm going to turn this around, and we kept talking about it and things like that. So we appreciate the opportunity.
Well, and I mean, go ahead, Ken.
I was gonna say he had it on the agenda and everything, so didn't miss it.
Just an hour. I mean, it's not. It takes longer to think about this than to do it. So
and don't laugh. I sent everything to the whole entire investment club. So
no. I mean,
I told them if they can make it, fine.
Yeah, of course. Well, let's do this before we hop off. But do you see anybody in the chat that's for a club you want to give a quick shout out to? I know Jacqueline came on camera, but there are a few people that may be in.
I know. I saw.
I saw Jacob, but I don't know.
Jacob was on there. Yeah, Jacob. Let me see who else is on here. Because I thought Bernard was going to show up, but he told me
in the WMIC club, and just put your name in the chat or say hello, just so that we know you out there. But
y'all see anybody else in there? I was hoping Bernard would get on, but he told me he had some things to do and he didn't know if he was going to make it back in time.
Well, Ionnie, I don't want to be remiss by not giving a shout out also to the grandfather of us all. Even now he's starting to look like it. But the King, Mr. Robert Wynn, is joining us tonight. So Bob, if you don't mind, can we bring you on camera so you can say good evening to y'all might be Fred brothers. Oh my goodness.
No, he's a Kappa.
Oh, he's a Kappa. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Sorry.
Well, it's about the money. So Bob, are you in a position you can come on camera? If not, no problem.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we would love to see you.
Well, my phone has a safe driving mode, and I don't know how to get it off of safe driving mode.
Pull over.
Yeah. So let's see here. Oh, let's see. Maybe that's what you do. Okay, then someone just. Can you see me?
No.
No.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, we can. Yeah.
And you're not driving.
I'm in my grandfather chair. How you guys doing? It's been wonderful just listening in, and congratulations on all of your success. And as Ionnie was saying, you guys have the discipline with your club that so many other clubs need to have. And then Ionnie, she was really talking about my club that's having this group decision that can't decide on a date They say
Club
yes.
not the only one.
They
Bob.
say yes, but they
No
won't give her a
offense.
date. So hopefully January will be better.
All right.
So Bob, you want to properly introduce yourself, please, and maybe share a little bit about the stock market game for the you know, their club, because they have
Sure.
kids with
I was trying to
grandkids.
be incognito today,
no.
but
No.
basically, Ann McNeill and I were on the board of Better Investing at the same time back in the 90s. And we're definitely passionate about investment education. And we think that one way to get more people exposed to it at a younger age is through the stock market game. And I live in Wisconsin, and the game has been very popular for over 20 years, but it doesn't really reach those inner city schools where a lot of the kids of color are going to school. So we decided to try a workaround and bring the stock market game to our kids of color through community-based organizations during the summer. The kids are there, and oftentimes those programs are very recreation oriented without some sort of educational underpinning. Also, the kids usually have even better rapport with the staff of these community-based organizations than they do with their school teachers or their guidance counselors. So we thought we would try to bring the game through those organizations. We had 7 organizations that sponsored teams in Wisconsin. And then Ionnie and Ann McNeill coordinated sort of a national group out of South Florida, so that we were able to have the kids exposed to the stock market process in a 10-week program that was accompanied by a summer-friendly video curriculum. And we thought it went so well that we're in the process now of working together to expand this program and make it somewhat of an institution every summer. And then we're still working with some school districts and other organizations to bring more kids into the game through the schools. So we want to work with the schools, but we think it's important to have an alternative pathway so that the sort of red tape of some of the big school districts won't stop us from getting to these young people. The testimonials that we were listening to tonight is reason why we do what we do. It's just really inexcusable that we don't give, that we don't ensure that every child has an opportunity to supplement whatever they're doing for their livelihood with investing. And basically, I tell the kids it's part of the law of leave no child behind, so that I sort of pretend like we have to do this because the law says leave no child behind. Because if we don't teach them how to invest, we are in fact leaving them behind.
That's an excellent point. I teach finance as an adjunct professor, and I do that in my finance class. What I do, I make my students pick 3 stocks. They have to track them the entire semester, and whoever comes out with the best portfolio, I give them like a $25 gift certificate to McDonald's or something like that. You know, I have 3 places, first, second, and third, and I give them little gift cards to certain places just so, and they get a kick out of it, and they actually end up after class investing in something because I teach them how to purchase stocks directly, you know, without a broker and things of that nature by going through the transfer agent or things of that nature. So I do that in my finance classes all the time. So.
And where are you?
That's fantastic.
Pardon me?
Where are you teaching? What school? What
I teach at Strayer University.
Okay, cool.
Strayer.
Very nice. Yeah, and I'm going back on video mute. I've got to eat before the Better Investing Treasurers Workshop is on, coming up in about 30 minutes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks thank you.
Thank you so very, thank you so very much, Bob. And I did put in the chat for those of you that's interested. Please save the chat, but click it, and please join our stock market game Facebook group, and we can make sure we disseminate the information to you for 2021. And Michelle is going to add, we are hosting in Houston, Ionnie, I think it is, the financial, okay, here it is. In 2021, we're hosting, our group here, we're hosting the financial empowerment seminar, which we did in 2019. We also did it in 2020, but we did it online. It was phenomenal. So we want to just make sure we get that information out to all of you, and we'll discuss with you offline, so we can also have you as a part of our agenda and our program. But it's a phenomenal day. We participate alongside the BINC conference that's held each year. So we hold it in a room that you just stay in that same room all day, and it's a free day. But we focus on people of color, and it's a phenomenal experience. So we'll talk with you about that more later.
Well, please do, because we would love nothing more than to participate in something
Absolutely.
of that magnitude.
Absolutely.
From our perspective, we appreciate that.
We'll definitely do that. And with that being said, we're going to just go around to you all, and I just want to hear your closing comments. What would you say, to a beginner investor or somebody considering joining an investment club, or your wise words of wisdoms, whatever it is you want us to really take away from you, your club, and even just maybe the experience you've had from 30 years successfully investing together?
Well, my advice would be to start as early as you can, because the more you learn about this game and this business, and the better you get at it, will only prove to be successful going forward. So we have to lose that stigma about the stock market and things of that nature. We have to, like was said by Bob, we have to teach our kids to be better investors, to just be regular investors, and to look at and take into account your own future going forward. Yes, you can pay for college without having to borrow money. You can purchase a car without borrowing. We need to learn all those things. And, my thing is just start early, learning about the stock market. Like Ken said, on the playground, reading the stock market when everybody else was shooting basketball. That makes a huge difference.
And I would add also, just be patient. Sometimes the stock market is going to drop. You don't want to sell low and buy high. You want to buy low and sell high. That's what I'll leave you with.
Well, my motto: buy low and never sell. No, you got to sell.
That's Washington Metro motto.
Yeah. That buy and hold strategy,
Especially when you have
especially when you have what, Ken?
Especially when you have dividends and you're making $20,000 a year off of dividends, you don't want to sell.
Yeah.
You hear that, Ernest, on Exxon? You hear that?
Yeah, I still want to get rid of it, brother.
No club business here. No club.
All right. Well, my advice to the person who maybe thinking about investment is just take that leap of faith and just expose yourself to it, and then take that knowledge that you gain, and quickly you'll become experienced and you really enjoy it as well. There's nothing like financial freedom. It's just nothing like it.
We got somebody in the amen corner over there.
That's my hallelujah dance. I'm sorry. I can't contain myself. All these degrees, all these businesses. Okay, I'm sorry.
And I would say, because I know a lot of younger folks think that they just don't have the money to invest, but yet there are many things that they do that they probably really don't have to do. Buying your lunch at work, visiting those vending machines, just little things. If you cut out those little extra things, take the extra step to make a lunch and take it with you, brew your own coffee, take it with you. Don't stop at Starbucks for a $5 coffee every day. Those $5 add up. And that's what you could use to invest if you just change some of your
habits.
Very like to have habits that can be modified. And it's not saying that you have to do it consistently. Reward yourself once a month instead of every day.
And if you got to have coffee, do what I do. Get that Dunkin' Donuts app. Their coffee ain't but $1.49. That's how you do it.
Mm.
And then you can pour a shot in that.
I think we have a beginner investor that asked a quick question. How much do you suggest starting with?
Got $20?
That's what I
With
think.
that. You got $20, start with that. Start with what you can afford. Start with what you can afford. And this is what I tell my kids. When you get a pay raise, say you get 5%. Well, 4% should go to your 401k. You can spend the other 1%, but invest in yourself, you know.
And you can buy, you know, when you use the transfer agent or direct from the company themselves, you don't have to buy a full share.
Yeah.
So, you know, because McDonald's is not a cheap stock.
That's for sure.
So, you know, Home
That's for
Depot is
sure.
not a cheap stock.
Yeah.
But if you can invest $20 a month, guess what? You'll eventually own a share. And then you'll eventually own 2 shares. So,
yep.
Yeah.
And then you get them dividends and you buy more shares.
Right.
So that's that's the key. You just have to start, like Ernest said. You just got to start. You know, step out on faith there. Start. If you got $20, hey, call us up. We'll show you how to invest it. And before you know it, by the time you're 51, you'll be a millionaire.
Speaking of which, call you up. Would either of you like to maybe share in the chat your contact information or on?
Sure. I gave y'all my phone number. Right?
Yeah, we'll put the email in the show notes.
Okay.
Okay, and the reason I say that is because many people will be listening to the audio on podcast, and this way, to audibly say it, they can connect with you.
Ernest, you got some information?
Yeah. What I want, did you give them the our WMIC club address, or did you give them your own?
No, I didn't give.
I'll put our club email address up there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I see that.
No, thank you.
So yeah, all I want to say is, y'all the first $1 million investment club we done had. So
thank you.
We're not the last.
Yeah. Thank you.
I hope not the last. If they could schedule a date and come on, but for now, even before I met you all, what Ken said, you all have been identified. Y'all have been successful. Y'all been in NAIC second place investment club on BET. In the newspaper. I'm just so glad I came across you in the BI magazine, on Instagram. I'm just so excited to have had you all tonight to share your story, and to really just be living examples of how everyday people, you all could be my uncles, my dad,
Thank you.
And yeah, not every family has the gems that you are. I'm sure you all know you're a unique bunch, but not every family has an uncle that they can call for stock advice, or an uncle that they can call about an investment decision. And I think that you just coming on the show and sharing your time and sharing your expertise, your education, your experience, your story. I mean, you really do get to mentor why Ken started the investment club. I mean, you're really mentoring the African American community just through this show, because we all get to look and listen to you and see how you made it, and see the testament of patience and consistency and the value of better investing. Because now, I mean, with the world being so connected, it's no excuse not to find a way. Before, when we were separate, we didn't know anybody else, or we would have had to, like Ken did, find out about NAIC or BI in a newspaper. Now, the information's right in front of us. So again, thank you all for your time, because I didn't know it was going to go this well. I knew it was going to go good, but I didn't know it was going to.
Well, we appreciate that. And like I said, if we can help y'all in any way, please contact us and let us know. We will gladly assist in any way we can.
We will. We'll definitely do that. And of course, we'll keep in contact, and we'll keep you posted on, our outreach events and stuff like that. And if I, come across somebody in the DMV area looking, for a club, I'll be sure to forward them your way too.
Thank you. We appreciate
Always
that.
move back to DC and join our club.
Yeah. I see that Howard University back there.
I'm not gonna leave that out, so I appreciate the invitation. I might have to take you up on that.
I see that Howard University back there. My brother graduated from Howard, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, I knew y'all was from Maryland when y'all started talking. I already. That's the kid. Yeah, I'll definitely give you a call next time I come up to.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all, and have a good evening.
You
Likewise.
do the same. Thank you. Take care.
Good night.
Good night now.
All right.